welcome, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Here with me tonight are two women in automotive and two trailblazers at that, Kelly Carven and Alex Schirmer from Numa. And also with us tonight is a gentleman who typically does not require an introduction, Mr. Sandy Cerami himself from Sandy Cerami's Academy 365. And I'm so excited to have the opportunity tonight to discuss AI. I typically nerd out a little bit when it comes to technology and numbers, so please forgive me and bear with me. But this is a really interesting topic, in my opinion, and the impact is so profound. Aside from streamlining operations and building in efficiency and missing lost revenue, right? All that great stuff. As most of you probably have heard, the current administration has raised $500 billion with a B dollars towards AI research and advancing this technology. That to me is unreal, because when you think about how far AI has come even within the last year, and now with this advancement and investment, how much further and how much faster it will come. Yes, they're working on a cure for cancer, but that advancement, that research, how it will impact even our businesses, it's hard to imagine the possibilities. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited tonight. And to have Numa on board for this discussion, I mean, you guys are really leading AI at this point in the industry. So I'm so thrilled to have you both join and really dig into the topic of AI.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon, for having us, Sandy, and thank you for allowing us to be a part of this conversation. Because as you guys know, this is an ever-evolving landscape. Everyone is trying to understand the best way to utilize AI in whatever capacity that looks like for them. For us, it's in automotive. But one thing with Numa, a fun fact, is we didn't even start in automotive. You know, our whole goal was to empower small and mid-sized businesses to be successful and empower their people, because we know the phones are always ringing. You might not always have the bandwidth internally to handle and answer those customers. So we wanted to empower the people first. So we are an AI solution that truly believes, it's our philosophy, that we are human first. AI, we want to give your team that visibility into customers looking to do business with you. So thank you for allowing us to be here.
Our pleasure. And Kelly or Alex, what has the reception been so far? Because I feel like as a marketing consultant, when I mention AI to dealers, they're like, because top of mind chat, they're thinking just chat, right? And I think a lot of them are thinking about prior experiences, maybe a year or so back, when AI wasn't what AI is today.
Right. Right. No, sure. And then coming, fresh off from NADA and being there live with dealers in real time and fielding that feedback, I think the biggest common denominator with what dealers told us was, the question was asked, what keeps you up at night? What are the things that keep you up at night as a dealer? And the common answer was not knowing the opportunities that I'm missing, because I don't have the visibility into it, right? Regardless of what their internal setup is, I think that was the biggest aha moment for us, was like, well, a solution like us, like that's how you should use AI. And something like AI is to give your people that visibility, but not only that, the accountability and the ways of which we can intake the communications and take repetitive things like appointment setting or status updates, things that you are already blocking and tackling for, but maybe not have the human capital to support the amount of calls coming in live in real time, we know your people work hard. We know that your service advisors are clocking 20,000 steps a day, right? Between their desk and the shop. So in reality their reality is they're never at their desk. You know, the average service advisor misses 85% of their inbound calls because they're doing the business, right? They're dodging bullets left and right, just trying to do a good job and service that customer in front of them. But the reality is that doesn't stop their phone from ringing. Their customer doesn't see that, right? And they still, entrust you to do a good job when they drop their vehicle off. They entrust you're going to service their vehicle, but they also entrust that this is their second biggest purchase of their life, their lifeline really to make money and do their job and to live day to day. They expect some form of communication in return. So that's really where we see AI playing a huge pivotal role in the ways in which dealerships operate today and communicate, empowering them to communicate with their customers and giving them the workflows to do so and the ways in which your customer would like to be communicated with. So that's where AI can really win. We're not trying to I want to debunk the elephant in the room, if I may, really quick. AI gets a bad rap because many dealers see it as a threat of taking the control away from their teams internally. We look at it very differently because we started outside of automotive and then kind of accidentally wound up in automotive because we saw a huge issue, right? Of, how can we help drive better communication practices amongst this entire organization? It's a communication crisis across the automotive industry and beyond, for that matter. So how can we really use AI to bring that in and actually put your teams in control, right? Let's put them in a position of being proactive, less reactive, with giving them everything they need to know to be able to effectively communicate with their customers.
And let's face it, to implement a new technological product in a dealership is a bear.
Yeah.
So I think, the employees, the staff definitely worry about, oh, is AI going to replace my job? That type of thing.
Yep.
The dealers, I don't know that the dealers or the managers worry so much about that as they do the disruption to the day-to-day business, which is something, we have Sandy online for, because he can help dealers with that process, right? From a training standpoint, we'll get into Numa's implementation standpoint, and even my company, Big Fish 360, also comes in as an operations process standpoint.
Yep.
I have to say, here at Numa, though, change is hard, but dealers really are resilient. And, we know based on studies that 90% of dealers recognize that they need AI, that it's something that they've either implemented already or they plan to this next year. But there's so many different flavors of it. And that causes confusion to dealers. So it's finding something that's the right fit for their current processes, because Numa we can deploy these AI agents that take a lot of those mundane tasks off their plate. So it's saving them time. It's making them more efficient. That's the whole key to AI. We don't want to take over, right? Keeping a human in the loop is something that really matters here at Numa. We know that humans want to interact with other humans. We don't want to completely replace that communication. But I truly believe that dealerships are willing to adapt. They're willing to change. But the good news with Numa is that it's so easy to learn. We were actually built inside Google Labs. So Gmail was an influencer, and dealerships, vast majorities, groups are signing up saying, I'm moving forward, signing more stores because of how easy it is to use, because of how easy it is to train. And literally, no joke, we can train a dealership in about 20 minutes and they are off to the races.
Oh, love it. Love it.
Ease of use is key, right? Technology is hard, it's confusing. But if we can make it easy for them to use it, we give mobile access. So they have, access if they're running to go get a coffee, right? Like, they deserve the break, because people in automotive, like, I've been in automotive 21 years. I fell in love with this industry because of the people, their hearts, they mean good. Service departments aren't answering or aren't missing phone calls because they're ignoring them. They're missing the call because they're so busy. So their intentions are good. So how can we help dealerships be more efficient and help them do their job better and increase their morale, right? They're trying really hard. And when customers are calling and they can't get through, customers get frustrated. And when you're dealing with somebody that's frustrated, it's hard to have that good feeling, right? So Numa really just helps make people happier, customers, but also dealership employees. But it increases efficiency, it streamlines things, it increases profitability. That's what I get so excited about.
Absolutely. And Sandy, you know, with the average number of appointments missed per month, we have an average of 158 being reported. And I know you do a tremendous amount of work with dealers on the fixed op side.
Mm-hmm.
At $450 per RO on average, that's $71,000 a month. That's a lot of money.
It certainly is.
Why do you think traditional communication methods are falling short?
Well, I will say that both Alex and Kelly touched upon the challenge that they have in terms of, you know, day-to-day operations. There's a lot that we ask of advisors, of BDC staff to do. I would encourage dealers and GMs and fixed operations managers to take the time to audit what it is an advisor is responsible for doing in terms of daily tasks every single day. And then you'll get a better understanding of why some of these challenges are in front of us at this point. Look, 55 to 65% of every dollar in revenue that comes into the parts and service department is gross profit. And so if we are missing 158 opportunities on a regular basis, there's big, big dollars sitting in front of us. Okay. I couldn't spell AI 6 months ago. Okay. I struggled. And my right-hand guy, Ron Marvo, my man with the devastating right hand who keeps me relevant, was the one that really was pushing me to get involved and get a better understanding of what AI really was. The reason why I see so many dealerships with a little bit of an aversion to it is because they just don't understand how AI works. They most of them think of it with respect to replacing the people. And Kelly said it best before. It's not here to replace people. I like to think of AI in two other words: augmentation, right? And then ultimately integration. The things that I'm seeing right now in terms of where AI is going to take us in the very, very near future, and Shannon, you touched upon it earlier, the acceleration of the integration of AI into our daily operations. You're going to start to see where technicians are going to be using AI in their bay, all right, to analyze and solve problems that were in the past very difficult for them to solve and took a lot of time. And then when you start to see the ability to integrate the appointment calls that come in with the scheduling tools that are in place right now, Numa integrates with all these different players in the space in a way that does make it easier. It does facilitate a more proficient operation in your service and parts departments. And proficient means we can produce more in a shorter period of time. And that's what dealers are looking for. That's what we should be focusing on, is how can we make our people more proficient? Because if you can take some of that busy work that drives your service advisors crazy, okay, and creates what you term now the communication crisis, you're going to have happier service advisors. And here's what I can virtually guarantee. If you have happier service advisors, you're going to have happier clients leaving your dealership on a daily basis.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it goes, you know, it's the yin to the yang or whatever, however you want to say it, Sandy. You know, if you have happier employees, you have happier customers. But when we actually look at the data, Numa has tremendous amounts of data, right? AI recognizes based on, you know, the amount of data and then the pattern recognition. And so last year we rescued over 8 million calls. Of those 8 million calls, think about the millions of text messages and all those communications that we can see. Long story short, it's treating the customer, meeting them where they are in the journey, and giving that dealership the ability to be more efficient. So I think by lowering the response time, right? So if we can have happier customers, it's by getting back to them. Like, what do people want? People just want a call back. They want a response, right? They want communication, but they want prompt communication. And Numa helps dealerships reduce response rates. Typically, we see it takes 22 hours for a dealership to get back to a customer. And that's if they're the lucky ones. Typically, 7 out of 10 customers don't even hear a response back. So if you're a customer, you don't hear a response back, or it takes 22 hours, that's not good. But if we can reduce that response rate, happier customers, happier employees, right?
Yep.
It's so
Yeah. I mean, I recently met with a dealer who literally turned off all their service advisors' voicemails because they said, out of respect for the customer, we don't even want them to leave a voicemail. We would, out of respect, we would just rather them keep calling us. And I'm like, that's still not a great customer experience.
Yeah, that is a flawed response to a typical dealership issue. Yeah.
I'm like, if you're making me call your dealership 3 or 4 times just to do business, like, I'm going somewhere else, like, so if we can put them in a better position to have access to those real-time customers they've already done business with, like, our AI is intuitive enough with the integrations we have set up that we know if it's a returning customer, we know which vehicle they're coming in for servicing.
Yeah.
We know if they already have an appointment. So we can take a lot of that heavy lifting off their team internally at the front game, right? So all they have to do is respond. And by the way, we can give them a workflow in which to respond and let them know how the customer wants them to respond. So driving efficiencies is key. You can't get time back, right? That's it. Time is money in our game. So if we can save service advisors on average 90 minutes in their day, imagine what positioning that puts them profitability wise at the end of the month. Not to mention the calls they missed, but how about the calls they didn't even know they were missing because they didn't have the in on that. So
Ronald, sorry for Alex. Ronald put in the chat a really good comment. He said people want to have somebody that they can trust. Trust and transparency go hand in hand. Numa provides complete transparency in every single communication back and forth. And so great comment, Ronald.
And to your earlier, Alex, also in terms of customer experience, think about the advantage it gives a dealer when the phone is being answered, the questions are being addressed. On the marketing side, I can tell you firsthand, these dealers are pumping a ton of money into marketing. So if you're missing calls or they're waiting 24 hours, who's going to wait 24 hours? I'll tell you, for me, if I can't reach someone after 5 o'clock, even whether it's business or personal, I'm completely annoyed. Like, why isn't there access after 5? Right. So that's where Numa comes in as well, after hours.
Oh, 100%. And that's a huge point. And I'll give a shout out to iHeartMedia. That's actually how I started in this automotive journey. Eric Fuller, shout out to you. But that's the key, right? I know how much dealers spend in marketing dollars to drive customers to their website, calling their dealerships. And what does that say to the customer when you're not there to answer their call? How would you handle that customer if they were walking into your showroom, walking around a vehicle, and no one was there to respond to them, ask them a question, greet them? Same thing goes for your phone lines, right? You should have support there, and that's where our virtual agents can really come into place and be that experience for your customers, making sure that they are greeted accordingly based upon if they have an appointment, if they're looking to make an appointment, or they want to talk to their service advisor. We're going to meet them wherever they are in that life cycle and make sure that your team now has that real-time visibility, that workflow to now communicate with them effectively. And the information we can pull in with the DMS, we can pull in what declined services they had, what was their last make and model of their car they may have traded in, give you guys like quick visibility and on how we can properly handle this customer in real time. So it shouldn't be difficult. We communicate every day with whatever we do. And it shouldn't be complicated in automotive. It just shouldn't.
Right.
Well, I think an easy way for us to validate every point that's been made so far is if I'm a dealer principal or general manager, I'm going right to my Google reviews. And I'm going to be courageous enough to read through my Google reviews and see what people are saying about our ability to communicate with them effectively and efficiently.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to my CSI surveys and I'll see if I have a common concern of the clients that we are serving and selling to on a daily basis. I would venture to say that 30 to 40% of them at a minimum relate to our inability to communicate effectively on their terms. And
Yep.
so it speaks to exactly what you two are saying tonight in terms of what Numa can do to fill in the gaps there. It's not that people don't want to do an effective job. They're not running from the responsibility.
Right.
Once again, I would encourage you to like audit what your people are doing. Right. And there's a reason why they're not, able to effectively handle the amount of communication necessary to make people feel as though they're valued, appreciated, and make it so good that they never want to do business anyplace else.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Preach. I couldn't have said it better myself. I need to get that quote on a mug. That was amazing.
I just want a royalty for everyone that sold. That's all.
You got it. I'll talk to you.
WTSD.
WTSD, baby.
Come on. You're
Write
missing.
that shit down.
This is being recorded, right? So I'll be able to
You
pull
can
that
bleep
up. Oh,
that. You can bleep it.
Nah.
Listen, Alex, you said that you were from a Jersey girl. That's what happens when a guy from Jersey opens his mouth.
Yeah.
Jersey falls right out of it.
I love
Yep.
it. In the South, I can handle it. I'm an automotive, so let's be freaking on it. Like, I'm good. I'm good. You're in it. This is the circle of trust.
All right.
So without any further ado, how about seeing some of Numa?
Sure.
Let's see this baby.
Would love it. Let me make sure I remember how to share my screen.
While Alex is pulling that up, the visual that we'll show you is the desktop version, but there is also a mobile version. So really easy access. It's key for the service advisors because, as we know, they're clocking about 20,000 stops a day. So giving them mobile access is key.
Mm-hmm.
Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Is it Numa? Can you see Numa?
It
No,
is.
we're seeing the deck, the AI agent platform.
Oh, well, that's not what I intended. Hold on a second. Okay. How about now?
I see blue AI agent platform.
Okay. Can you see the to-dos?
Yes.
Yes. No, we
Yes,
can.
we can.
We're there now. Perfect. And then, of course, Kelly mentioned the mobile application. So everything that you're seeing on my screen mirrors exactly what your teams internally will have access to via the mobile, whether it's an Android, Apple devices, iPads, if your team's using the iPads in the drive in the service department. It's seamless experiences across both. And every single user that has a Numa login, this is your own dashboard. This is your own view. For the service advisors specifically, that's the view that you're looking at right now. We call it our, Sandy, you'll appreciate this, our digital route sheet. So this is pertaining and giving access, quick view access to service advisors to all of their customers that have open ROs. So, and in which the ways they want to be communicated with. We bucket it very simply with quick viewpoints, and we highlight quick summaries with these little purple highlights here. We call these perpetual summaries. So this is where the AI is constantly giving the service advisor the latest update and what the customer needs from you. The first bucket is very simple. It's very intuitive. As we mentioned at the top of the call, customers that want to call back. The second, customers that are okay with texting, which is 90%. NADA states 90% of your customers would rather text your dealership than call, because we know that that's a very broken process across the organization. So we're going to help them out there. And then the third bucket is very important. These are customers that have been waiting longer than 4 hours for a status update, right? So we want to highlight this. We want to escalate these conversations to the service advisor to be able to put them in a position to follow up with them ASAP, right? And in whatever way that is, whether it's a call or a text back.
Alex, that's such a great point, because I think if you went and looked at what the reviews say in terms of status calls, it's probably the thing that frustrates your clients the most, is just not knowing what's going on. Even if you have no news, just a simple point of contact to say, here's where we're at. I don't have any news to share with you right now. Just want to let you know we didn't forget about you. And there's something so powerful about staying in touch with them. And again, it heightens the level of trust that they have in terms of you as their provider.
And what comes across them, and what the dealers love too, and customers as well, is when the customers call and they're upset, the dealerships now have a heads up. So they now have a couple seconds to figure out how am I going to respond to this customer? What do I need to do to fix this, right? So when they get back to the customer in a short amount of time, they now have that solution, or at least, a better way to handle it rather than, hey, how can I help you, right? So it's buying them time, which is key on both ends.
Yeah.
Powerful. Super powerful.
Yeah. There was a call that I sat in on a couple weeks ago, and the service manager was like, listen, like, our team knows we miss calls, right? We get that. It's just the nature of the business that we're all in. He's like, but the biggest issue is knowing what's living behind those red blinking lights, right? So Numa, if you've ever worked in service and you've walked in after 5 o'clock and seen the red blinking lights on those old antiquated telephones, which represents, Sandy, what does that red blinking light represent to you? How does that make you feel?
Heat.
Yeah. How much heat though, Sandy? How much, right?
like Cheetos flamethrowing heat, baby.
Cheetos, absolutely. The blue Cheetos, right?
That's it. Flaming hot.
Flaming hot. The answer is you don't even know. You don't have visibility on what's living behind that red blinking light, other than obviously missed calls. But there's no prioritization. There's no visibility on what the customer's looking to, speak about. So that's another thing that Numa can do, is we're replacing that, right? We're putting your people in a position of empowerment, right? We know now what that customer was looking to accomplish when reaching out to you. That's the biggest thing of angst of a team is I know that I'm about to get beat up for 15 minutes going through 20 of these voicemails that came in after 5 o'clock or over the weekend or whatever that story is for them. So now we're able to put them in that proactive positioning, right? And give them those real-time, meaningful answers on, hey, this is what's going on with your customer. This is why they're heated. We need to get them an update. It's as simple as a status update. And if we can proactively, give those updates to your customer on behalf of your team, that's going to drive up the customer CSI, right? And that customer experience. But also, we're going to put your team in that proactive positioning where now they're feeling like they're beat down every 5 minutes, that they need to take a break or they need to go check something in the shop. They're not missing any form of communication because we're organizing that, we're aggregating that, and giving them that workflow they need to follow up with their customers. And that's the roadmap to creating that really strong customer engagement and driving that loyalty for your dealership.
And those escalations don't just go to the service advisor, right? With DMS integration, we're able to see which service advisor is assigned on that open RO. So when that status update call does come in, we're able to assign it right to the right person. But if that gets heated and that customer gets upset, we notify with those escalations the person that's assigned to it, but also their manager. So there's not only visibility, but there's accountability, which is key.
And I love that Numa is focused on the fixed ops side of the business, the backbone of the business. Because to your point, an upset customer, a lost service customer is a lost future sale as well.
100%. Yeah. We're trying to give every service advisor, every BDC member, like, the benefit of the doubt, because we understand it's a hard job. Right. It is what it is. You can't staff your organization for the cadence in which customers are calling in to do business with you. Right. Like, it is what it is. They're going to probably most likely be calling in at peak hours, or when people are off to lunch. They're still going to want to call in and figure out what's going on with their vehicle, or, hey, schedule an appointment because they just got a mail or an email that they're due for their 90,000 mile service and tire rotation. So we want to make sure that you guys are making the most of your marketing investment, right? You're pumping in all this money to ensure your phones are constantly ringing. We don't want the phones to be a problem. That's where Numa is really going to capitalize in ensuring you capture 100% of those opportunities, even creating a process around customers that call in and hang up after 3 rings because they didn't get a live person on the phone. We can create automations around how we handle those customers as well. So there's just so many things that we can automate for your team, especially with BDCs. Let's put the business development component back in BDCs and put them in a proactive response to help go after those customers on those decline services, on those retention lists, whatever that looks like, whatever your dealership's looking to do and accomplish with that team. Let's give them the space to do so, and let's let AI create those efficiencies at the top and communicate with your customers, give them that real-time component, and drive that visibility and that accountability for your team.
And yeah, 82% of customers, they cut ties with the dealership if they have a bad customer experience. And it's really, really, really hard to win back that customer. I mean, I hear it takes 10 positive experiences or 12 positive experiences to kind of negate that one bad one. And, unfortunately, we see that customers can have bad service and good communication and good CSI. So it really is about the good communication, right? Having efficient communication. And that profitability, Shannon, like you said, that you love how we're in fixed ops. And yeah, that's like the lifeblood of the dealership, but it can easily feed into other profitable areas of the dealership. And with Numa's AI agents, dealerships can very simply, easily deploy these agents to acquire trade-ins in the service department. As that's a
ding, 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 ding.
Best practice at most dealerships, right? But does it happen every time? Probably not, right? Because humans make mistakes. So if we can automate best practices like trade-ins in the service drive, good things happen, right?
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more. The one thing I'd like to just validate what you just said, Kelly, with respect to when somebody is unhappy and decides they're going to cut ties with the dealership, it's like heart disease. It's silent. You don't even realize it because they don't say anything. Yeah. They give you what we call in my world the Irish goodbye. Like they don't say a word and they're gonzo. And that is deadly because you really don't know what the true impact is on your operation until it's way too late.
Yeah. And there's a lot of silent defectors just from not picking up the phone, right? I need a
100%.
brake job. I need brand new tires. You didn't pick up. I'm not. And so it sometimes might not be a bad experience that leads to silent defectors. It could just be a lack of leaving their voicemails full because they can't handle it.
Yep.
Well, here's a challenge, ladies. I think here's a challenge for dealers and GMs right now. If you are not using agentic AI in the form of Numa to handle all of those missed opportunities where your team is just simply overwhelmed, I would encourage you to take the opportunity to make 10 phone calls over a 1 week period of time into your dealership. Okay. And you tell me what the experience is like for you calling in. And now you'll know exactly what your clients are going through when they're calling in. And you'll know exactly what your people are going through when they're overwhelmed by the number of phone calls that are calling in. And the only way that you know is if you have the courage to go ahead and just do it. A lot of times we become detached from what's going on in daily operations, and what we think is happening is completely divorced from what's really happening inside operations.
Right. Feel the pain. Feel the pain. You don't know what you don't know. And if you're not doing that, you're not mystery shopping your own operation to feel that process and see what your customers are in real time experiencing, then you're doing your dealership a serious disservice. It is what it is. It's the reality of our business. But if you're not empowering your people with the right tools in which to make them more efficient, then you're also doing them a disservice. So, ensuring that you have the right tools in place to make sure your team's able to communicate effectively and efficiently with your customers.
Yes.
And that's going to be a forever game changer. Future-proofing your operation for what you already know is a crisis in this industry. You can't look away from it anymore. And that's one thing that Numa gives you is a forever log of how your team is communicating externally, along with how the customers are communicating with you internally, right? Nothing can ever be deleted inside Numa. Everything is recorded, everything is transcribed forever. Unlike a voicemail behind the red light, right, Sandy? *7, delete, delete.
Bye-bye.
I got
Like a puff of smoke, it's gone.
situation on line 3, and whoops, we're hanging up. Good luck trying to call back in. No, kidding. But that's another thing Numa does is we transcribe, record everything. We have a portion of our solution that we just rolled out at NADA called Call Intelligence, where we're basically just backing up your service advisors. We can literally transcribe every inbound, outbound call, where you can see it from management. You can truly see in real time how your service advisors are handling customers, right? And we're going to actually provide levels of coaching for them, down to even performance boost. Hey, maybe if you used these word tracks with this customer, we could have maybe gotten that decline service, or we could have maybe sold those tires, whatever that looks like for that specific scenario. But we're actually going to give your team insight and provide that level of coaching for those service advisors that might need a little bit more of a performance boost. So it's full circle ecosystem when it comes to real-time communications.
And when we talk about communication, sometimes there's communication barriers. That might be a different language that somebody speaks. And the cool thing with Numa is that we can actually very easily translate into about 120 different languages. So
that is unbelievable. Yeah. That's
3 or 4 of us, on this panel here are in New Jersey, which is a huge melting pot. Dealerships here speak with, customers in multiple different languages every single day. So to have a tool that can easily and efficiently do that for them without needing to call the one, token employee that speaks that one language that they need. Again, streamlining efficiency.
Who's out sick that day, by the way?
What did you say, Shannon?
The thing that really blew me away was that you guys were able to translate Staten Island for the Jersey folks, which is awesome.
That's
Sorry,
amazing.
Staten Island. I love your pizza, but
Yep.
It's so funny. I was reading an article this morning. I shared it with Shannon and Alex about, different areas of the country and how AI can be hard to translate. And being a Jersey girl, born and raised, right? I use Surrey and all these different, maybe ChatGPT, but I'm talking into it and it never truly gets it. And I am still, here with Numa, still in awe every single time. I will, practice demos and, I'm using the voice. It gets it every single time. And a lot of that is, behind the scenes technology. There's a lot of AI out there. There's a lot of companies you can home grow, but it's really the behind the scenes technology that matters. Proud that we're Silicon based and we really have the technology, the engineers, the product team to make sure that we have the best and the latest and the best. So that's key too to point out, but happy that the Jersey accent takes here.
It's in the
well,
top.
I think the relevance
I read in the article, Sandy, I'll send you the article. New Jersey is in the top 3 worst accents for AI.
I learned that lesson the hard way the first time I spoke to a group in Texas, and they said, who's the guy in the front of the room with the funny accent? And I was like, what are they talking about? And then I realized they were talking about me. But, I think the fact that you are able to provide AI in a relevant and contextual manner is really the difference maker, right? It's not just some off-the-shelf AI piece. The agentic aspect of what you guys provide is relevant. It's contextual. It's real world, in terms of, what dealership operations are all about. And that's the thing that impresses me the most.
Yeah.
And the proof is in the pudding. I'm seeing in the comments, do we have any early studies? We have dealers that are references that, we're seeing easily double digits increase in CSI. Dealerships that are, speaking with, video testimonials, 40% profitability year over year. So we absolutely do have the stats. Happy to share.
Yes.
It's a great question.
Kelly, talk about the emotional IQ aspect of it, where it actually detects escalation or emotions from the other end.
Yes. So Numa has the ability to listen to tone, listen to sentiment. And so if customers are upset, if they're frustrated, we catch that. In real time, we're escalating that to somebody at the dealership. So if they're frustrated, if they're maybe threatening that they're going to call their attorney if they don't get their car back, right? I mean, these things happen, unfortunately. So if something escalates to that level, we in real time notify the dealership, and not just, one level of the dealership. We want to get that to management. We want to get eyeballs on that so we can diffuse the bomb before it goes off, or it affects the.
It's amazing. It really is. I can't imagine, after personally demoing the product, a fixed ops department without a tool like this. It's a no-brainer in my opinion.
Yeah, it should be a no-brainer. You're investing in your people. Like, why not give them the best
Your
solution?
people, your marketing.
Yeah.
everything.
We want to make sure you capitalize all that.
People are successful when they're organized, right? And Numa
Right.
does that for them automatically. The to-do dashboard that Alex shared, moments ago, that is literally organizing in real time every communication that's coming in. Just like the NASDAQ, if you're looking at stocks, they're changing in real time. So does the Numa dashboard, because communications on calls are coming in. So, to be able to have access to that, but have a tool that just makes it easy for you, prioritizes, organizes, notifies you when you forget something. It allows you to not let anything slip through the cracks.
Yeah. And the management view top down, like, you're able to see, we're going to stack rank your advisors, right? We're going to show you in real time, like, what does their response rate look like? How are they communicating with their customers, or they're not? And that way, who you might need to spend more time with and doing best practices on. So there's just the visibility that it gives just your organization to make sure that you are capitalizing on all those opportunities of customers that are literally just trying to do business with you is pretty impactful. I mean, we've got stores. Kelly and I were just presenting at a GM meeting last week, and one of our dealers that was in the room said we helped increase their overall business 33% year over year, just because of capturing the opportunities that otherwise would have gone missed, that they would have never seen, never known about, could have gone to the competition, never got them back. That to us is what makes us so passionate. It shines the lights on maybe the gaps in the process that they didn't even know existed, because they didn't have the right tools in place for their team to be able to capture those. So, and it's ever evolving. I've been with the company just since June, and it's already changed so rapidly. So to have a product first company where literally our developers, our engineers are all Silicon Valley. They come from IBM, they come from Apple, Google, you name it. They are the best of the best in AI technology, and they know what they're doing. And so every single day we get the pleasure of learning something new about what AI can do to make us more efficient and our dealers inside of our platform. So, we're literally just scraping the top of the iceberg with where we're at. This is an ever evolving landscape, and highly promote dealers just to find, just to do your education, do your due diligence, do the research, at least, ask those questions. Like, how are you driving the efficiencies for my team? What visibility do I have? How are you creating processes around customers that, maybe hang up, and having that visibility, because that's also a game changer if you can have that level of visibility with those customers trying to do business with you.
Right.
The other thing, ladies, I want to just make a note of is, a lot of times when we see a revenue dip in a service and parts operation, and, we're not taking a truthful, hard look at what's really going on internally, the response very often is, hey, we need to get a mailer out. Let's do an email blast. Let's get a mailer out. Let's shoot a text out to all of our database.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, all we're doing is exacerbating the problem. If we can do a better job of handling the folks that are already coming in and want to do business with us, we can reduce that marketing advertising expense. Shannon, don't throw anything at me. I'm just saying we don't need to add to the existing budget in order to try and address an issue that has everything to do with the communication crisis and not a traffic crisis in your service drive. You follow me? And quite honestly, if there is a reduction in terms of your RO counts over the course of an extended period of time, then we should be taking a hard look in terms of what's going on operationally. There's a reason why folks are not coming back. And a lot of times communication is at the very heart of it. 75 to 80% of the challenges that we tackle with clients on a daily basis in a dealership environment go back to communication.
Yep.
And how do we get those customers back? Like, Numa has tools where we automate decline services.
Yeah.
So, I spent the last 3 years of my career living in, affordability and credit side. And there's an affordability crisis too, right? There's a communication
There is.
but economics too, it's hard, right? People, they might not be able to afford a new transmission or a new brake job, or it's getting close to winter, but those tires are kind of expensive. And so if they decline that service, Numa can, we can do really cool things with automations with decline services. So if that customer does come in and they decline the tires, how can we get them back, right? It's automated messages. Maybe it's, a ServiceNow pay later approach where we're sending them links so they can pre-qualify.
Just took the words right out of my mouth, Kelly.
The sky's the limit. And like what I love most about Numa too is a lot of the ideas and come from dealerships, right? Dealerships, what I love about them, they are not shy. And if they have an idea, they will share it. If they have a way that they can, better a solution or better a product, they're going to share it. And so a lot of our improvements come from dealer feedback. So that's a cool thing to note as well.
And Sandy, I think you made a really strong point earlier. That 71,000 missed on average doesn't even count the missed sale in the future, right? Because you lost the customer, you can no longer sell
Absolutely.
them.
You don't have a chance to sell them another vehicle. You don't have a chance to service that vehicle again. You don't have a chance to acquire that vehicle. We teach something called Own the Driveway. Because we get myopically focused on the vehicle that we're either servicing or selling, all right, during that interaction with our guest or our client. And the truth of the matter is that in every household across the country, we've got between 2.3 and 2.7 vehicles above and beyond the one that we're servicing or selling at that moment in time. And we preclude ourselves from the opportunity to own that driveway, right? To have the opportunity to service and trade or purchase or sell them another vehicle into that driveway if we don't stay connected to them and communicate with them in an effective way.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't know what you don't know, right? So to your point, when revenue does take a dip, you look at marketing, right? And if you're not asking them to spend more, you're asking them, well, why isn't it working? Or you're asking the fixed ops staff, well, what's going on? So that audit piece is really crucial, in my opinion. And that's something, Sandy, if they're not comfortable doing themselves, you'll take that on, correct?
Sure. I mean, I think what Alex said before about FTP, there's our new hashtag, FTP, feel the pain. If you feel the pain, then the next thing we should do is FTS, find a solution.
Go, Ron.
Solution.
Right? Find a solution.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got to watch the game film, right? I learn more from my losses than I do my wins, right? Being an athlete, like
everyone does, yeah.
You always have to. You got to learn from the past, but you cannot repeat the past, right? You've got to find a new way for the future, and you have to evolve. And AI is not going away. It's evolving very rapidly, as we all know. And the best thing you can do
that beast has been unleashed. Like it ain't putting the genie back in the bottle at this point.
Right. We all know how to spell it now, so yay for us. Like we can spell, and the best thing you can do is to future-proof your organization, is to find the right way to use AI that best complements your current processes, right? And there's a lot of solutions out there that have different ways of utilizing AI. It's not always true AI, so make sure you ask the right questions, but also know the platforms that you're using where there might be some overlap. We're happy to consult with you on that. Even if we don't earn the right to work with you, we'd love to have that conversation and just educate. We offer free educational programs. We have free webinars for dealers that just want to know, like, where is AI today and how can I best utilize it inside my operation? We would love to have that conversation with you. And if it's not with us, that's okay. We just want to make sure that you understand that not every AI solution is created equal. There's definitely different AI for different things you're looking to accomplish for your organization.
I love
proactive, not reactive. Love that, Ron. Amen. Preach.
For sure. So, ladies, gentlemen, we are officially over time. This has been an amazing discussion. I could go on for hours about AI and nerd out with you all, but I'm sure plenty of dealers will be in touch about Numa's AI in particular, and now taking a hard look at their own fixed ops departments.
Yep. Love it. Let us know how we
Thank
can
you all
help.
for
We're here to
joining.
serve. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you
having
for
us.
your support of Women Driven by Auto, and good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, ladies.
Happy Monday.
Take
Cheers.
care.
Bye.